Against the backdrop of the halt in the supply of critical weapons to Ukraine from the United States, Kyiv cannot do without all the support Europe can provide. This is reported with reference to an interview with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. In the short term, Ukraine will not be able to do without all the support it can get in terms of ammunition and air defense systems. Rutte added that Europe intends to strengthen its support for Ukraine amid news of a reduction in military aid to Kyiv from Washington. This is what needs to be focused on. Also, he sharply criticized Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov for his recent comments about the collapse of the alliance. Rutte also said this on Fox News. Sergey Lavrov was asked to comment on the words of Radoslav Sikorsky, who predicted the collapse of the Putin regime as a result of the current arms race. Lavrov replied, "He probably foresees, since he is such a harbinger, that the catastrophic increase in the budget of NATO countries, in my estimation, will also lead to the collapse of this organization." The NATO Secretary General, commenting on these words, first praised the huge foreign policy victory of U.S. President Donald Trump and his administration in increasing NATO defense spending. And Rutte said that Lavrov, he's the Russian foreign minister, I think, since the birth of Jesus Christ. And since then, nothing useful has come out of his mouth. So we don't pay too much attention to Lavrov. This phrase highlights the absurdity of Lavrov's attempts to play the role of a sage who allegedly has a prophetic voice, when in fact his words have long since lost all weight and influence. And the emphasis on the birth of Jesus Christ is a sharp sarcasm that shows how protracted and fruitless Lavrov's political path is, as he is no longer taken seriously even in the international arena. "Nothing useful has come out of his mouth" is a fugitive criticism that destroys the illusion of this figure's influence and warns against paying too much attention to his empty statements. This comment is a kind of wake-up call for those who are still trying to reckon with Russian rhetoric. It's time to move on and not waste energy on empty talk. As for the risk of a war between Russia and NATO, which is what Rutte is talking about, it is worth recalling that Russia is constantly speculating on the topic of Ukraine joining NATO. And before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Putin said that Russia was observing NATO's gradual invasion of Ukraine, and Moscow could no longer tolerate it. Trump changed his rhetoric and expressed strong support for the alliance and its defense missions. Putin has been preparing to attack NATO countries for 5 years, and according to Bloomberg, the attack will begin with the Baltic states. Therefore, in order to prevent the opening of a second front and to prevent Putin from attacking NATO countries, we need to help Ukraine and increase this assistance, not every day, but every minute, which we are not seeing. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz does not rule out the possibility of supplying German Taurus missiles to Ukraine. According to him, this option has been and remains on the table. At the same time, the Ukrainian military needs at least 6 months of training to master this complex system, and such training has not yet begun. Merz's statement on ARD was quoted by NTV. And commenting on the possibility of supplying the country with Taurus missiles, the Chancellor emphasized that he did not rule out such a step. It was and remains an option, Merz said. Taurus system is complex, so training to operate it takes at least 6 months. Ukrainian soldiers have not yet started such training. War does not wait for a convenient moment. It is going on right now, and the delay in the training we are talking about is a direct blow to Ukraine's defense capabilities.
Додатковий шанс для ворога зміцнитися, атакувати і нищити наші міста та життя.
Why wait 6 months if you can start training today? To mobilize resources, to speed up the process as much as possible, because time is the most valuable resource, and we must not and cannot waste it. Mastering sophisticated weapons systems is not a luxury. It is a vital necessity that determines the future of the country. Therefore, only determination and quick action will ensure that our soldiers are one step ahead of the enemy. So the question is, why haven't these exercises taken place yet? Merz also responded to Putin's statement that Moscow would interpret the supply of Taurus as direct interference in the war in Germany. Merz said, "It has always been clear that if we supply Taurus, this weapon will be used by Ukrainian soldiers, not German soldiers. It is the same with other cruise missiles supplied by the UK or France." He added that Germany will no longer publicly announce what kind of weapons it is giving to Ukraine, so that Putin has some uncertainty about what we are doing militarily. Earlier, Merz called for a review of peacekeeping work with Russia. For the German chancellor, it is obvious that some Western politicians have not yet realized that Putin understands only the language of force. But this language of strength should be demonstrated by Germany as well. Germany has set an example by supplying long-range Taurus missiles. What do you think about this? And how realistic is it that Ukraine will not be able to get these missiles for a long time? Please also write about our long-range capabilities, because we have talked about the Sapson.